this session update, I'm Shannon Lurkey. Reporters gathered around Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka and Senate Education Chair Roger Chamberlain as the Senate recessed from today's floor session to learn more about the agreement with the House on the E-12 education budget and the status of other bills still in limbo. Later, Senate Minority Leader Susan Kent also spoke with reporters. Here's what the lawmakers had to say.
As you know, there were a lot of differences between House and Senate, a great gulf. So divided government, you had to find a way to compromise and get to the end. That was our position, that schools, so that's number one. How do we get to the end? Number two is, what have schools been asking for as long as I've been alive? Give us money, give us money, give us money, and don't give us mandates. So I said, fine, here's how we get to the end. 3 and 1.5. And take out everything else. In the end, we ended up with a little bit of a compromise. I wanted to keep it at 3. We wanted to keep it 3 and 1.5. But the governor and the House had to have something. They wanted something, so we went down to 2.5. But even with that, we still have the largest increase in K-12 spending for the proposal, the formula, for 15 years. The largest number in 15 years for the formula.
And what does that translate to, the per student number this year additional and next year additional?
Well, I don't recall the per student number, but the total going to be on the formula right now for the next 4 years is, when I'm doing the math, it's going to be over $1 billion. $1 billion in 4 years just on the formula for the classroom funding, and that was our goal. Get as much as in there as we could, and the final bill ended up being very tight, very small, very few mandates, consensus policy, and something that the schools have been asking for a long time. A lot of money and no mandates, and that's what we gave them.
It's 2% in the second year?
Yes, yes.
Is there the school choice part of it?
I mentioned at one press conference, I'll repeat it. I would ask, you can ask the governor and the House why that had to come out. But we had to remove it to get something done. But they would not move forward and have any negotiations about the parent choice.
The money that was requested by the governor for a specific program, particularly the equity money, you suggested those were mandates. Are there specific funds for those programs in this budget?
Well, I see several things as equity. Number one is the formula is equity. I mean, that is designed to go to areas and districts that have more challenges and the students need more help. Secondly, our literacy thing that we've been fighting for years, that the parents have been fighting for, is equity, literacy. The educators wanted it. It's been very successful in states around the country, especially Mississippi, so I see LETRS funding as equity. The biggest equity thing in the bill right now is teachers of color. We agreed on that. It's a great increase, great programs without a lot of policy strings attached to it. The Grow Your Own program has been working great for years in districts, so we left that policy alone. We tweaked the language a bit and let the districts do what they want and what they needed to do to get those teachers that they must have in those schools and where they need them. And for me, the biggest piece of equity that's not in the bill is the parent choice, because most of the people wanted parent choice, and that was the biggest equity piece for me in the bill. And that being said, we do have teachers of color, we have literacy, and the formula is a big equity piece as well.
Anything notable about academic standards or athletic requirements on the high school league?
There is, as far as the high school league, we had a hearing on it, but no changes in that. We simply added I think what we have in there for policy is something about a couple more board members or some organizational piece, but no other requirements. Again, we want to get this session done. A lot of disagreements, a lot of difference in ideology and process, so we agreed on the things that were important to the educators and the parents and the schools.
Would you come back with a name, image, and likeness bill again next session?
Can I say hell yes? Yes. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
I want to just bring up something. Representative Rena Miranda had called me and asked if we could do something related to Black Men Teach and Girls in Action as part of things we were looking at. And when I circled back to Senator Chamberlain, he said, I already have Black Men Teach language in there, and so it was nice that there was a working towards some of the things things that we thought could matter in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And like Senator Chamberlain said, I think the big loss for us was not having the parental choice options related to, about 2 years ago it was opportunity scholarships, this year it's education savings account. We had 2 press conferences where we had a lot of members from minority communities come and say this would make a difference, but we did not get those. But we did focus on the per pupil funding formula. That's where Senator Chamberlain really planted down and said this would be good for every school district everywhere. And so we feel like it's a good bill that everybody should be proud of.
Over the years, I'll just add, over the years, we all face our frustrations with bills that come out of here somewhere that you try to control, you're happy with, some you're not so happy with. And we are mandated by the Constitution to pay for this stuff. I can say that having had the honor of serving as chair of this committee, I am very happy with this bill the way it came out. It is truly a compromise. It was consensus, but it really hit what we needed to hit for a change. No mandates, almost no mandates, and a big formula increase, which means, right, they're not spending money now on mandates with the formula increase they got. They can use that formula increase for the stuff they need, and that's right in the classroom.
Can you talk about some of the mandates that you blocked or removed as part of this bill?
A lot of it's curriculum-based, right, and disciplinary stuff would have required extensive training and regulations and rules and process. So curriculum issues, we had a two-year halt on the implementation of all new standards. That's math, science, gym, physical fitness, and all that stuff. We had that. So our goal was to reduce the number of those mandates and prevent them. And that most of it was around curriculum and the non-exclusionary disciplinary stuff, which the schools are doing a lot of good work on right now as it is. So we felt that right now that was not the priority. The priority was recovery, money in the classrooms, no mandates. So.
Wait, are you saying there is a 2-year moratorium on new standards, or you kept that out?
On the academic standards, right? There's just a 2-year halt on implementation. The department still gets to review and go through that process, and if schools are in some part of that process of getting them in, then they can continue if they choose. But we said you cannot force implementation of any new standard, and there's 6 of them out there. Right? There's 6 standards out there that they're working on, so 2-year halt on all those, on implementing.
Senator, we've been told that the reinsurance and the bonuses are somehow tied together. That was a piece that one unlocked the other. Can you talk about the reinsurance end of things?
We have the 5th year of reinsurance. I mean, there was a compromise language as we were working together. Worker bonuses, what do we do about the pipelines up north, the lawsuit that was lost, what do we do about reinsurance, what do we do about K-12 funding. There's really maybe 20 things on 2 different pages that we're trying to work through. The governor and the speaker and myself helping the chairs get through the final things. We're not quite there yet, but I would say there was good cooperation at the end to try to just get this. So we still have a few things we got to do, but we really wanted to, I didn't want to say as much as I did, so governor and speaker, sorry, but you're too good. So anyway, but that's what's happening right now.
The leader agreements on reinsurance, on Rondo, on this OSB plant, are those all going to run separately, or will they come into?
We have a plan.
What's the plan?
We have a plan.
Those pieces that were, punted from one bill to another bill, Rondo being one of them, market bucks. I know you said there was a deal on that. I mean, is it safe to say that those are not? Okay.
Yes.
My count is you have 10 of 13 budget bills with announced agreements. That leaves HHS, it leaves state government, it leaves public safety.
Yes.
Can you kind of give us more specific where you are on those 3?
2 out of 3, for all intents and purposes, are done. There may be one little thing. Judiciary has been our, public safety has been our more difficult one. We're waiting for an offer from the House and governor. I'm not saying that it's just been tough. So there's no reason other than there's so many things we're working on both sides that it just takes a little bit of time. So it's not a negative I'm saying, but we're simply waiting for the next offer. But we've narrowed down to a place where I know that we will get done relatively quick.
On the public safety bill, is that one now that is being negotiated at the leadership level?
Really, we've not negotiated any bill at the leadership level other than leadership got involved to work back with the chairs to close the gap on the issues. It's much different this year than 2 years ago. The chairs and their team around them have really done virtually all of it. If we have one little sticking point, then we talk about it, and sometimes they say, can you help us get there? But really it's the chairs and their teams that are doing the work.
Is that happening more with the public safety bill? That's what I've heard.
Yes, I mean that's now at the place where we got to help them to finish those final things. It is the most difficult. We said we're not going to do anti-police things, but we feel like with the rise of crime, particularly in the last number of months, that it's like we want to focus on getting more police out on the streets, making sure that they have the resources they have. We think that's the number one issue right now with crime going up and up and up and police deciding whether they want to continue to be police or not. We think that's a major problem that we have right now as we're trying to wrap up this bill. So we're trying to work with everybody, the police and other groups, to say how do we get through these final things. But you know, if we think that something is going to hinder them in their ability to do their job, that is not going to happen.
What's the holdup on the housing bill with the eviction moratorium language? That's kind of what time sensitive.
It's ready. It's just timing. It's just when we decide which bills go when.
When is that bill?
Any moment.
Today?
No.
Is the education bill being posted today? Are we going to be able to see the full details?
They're working on putting it together. I mean, they've had a significant piece of it, so I don't imagine it's going to take too long. But they're putting it together now, and next day or so, I imagine.
Again, year 1 and year 2?
2.5 in year 1, 2% in year 2, 2.5 and then 2.
Does it make any commitments to the out years?
No, I mean, it obviously flows into the out years, but no, we did not make any formula commitments to the out years.
That's a good point, because there was conversation about should inflation be on that, and we just didn't feel like that was where we should go right now. But the formula increase, like Senator Chamberlain said, biggest in 15 years, so it's a big deal.
And just to make sure I understand, it compounds, right? So the 2% builds off the 2.5.
Right.
Okay.
Builds off the previous, right.
Okay.
Senator Gazelka, we kind of keep coming back to a theme, which is that money solved a lot of problems in these budgets. They're talking about the transportation bill, how they had this cash to give out. You're talking about the money in this budget. This is not sustainable for future budget years, but it sounds like you'll take it for this year, that this availability of money has made those issues easier to resolve.
The federal stimulus money that came in made things easier and it made things harder. And what I mean by that is it helped us solve the present problems, but it could make problems in the future more difficult if we don't watch the future spending and what it looks like. So what we call ongoing tails or future spending commitments, that's what we had to be careful with all this one-time federal money. And so you have a $52 billion budget, but part of that is because a lot of federal stimulus came in and we had to decide where to spend it. And so we intentionally left money over because the federal stimulus is for the next 4 years. So it's not just this year. It can be used next year or the 2 years after. And so I think that leadership agreement allowed some flexibility. All of us are trying to work towards how do we help these individual budget areas just finish, and sometimes it just takes a little bit more.
But the bonus money was not in anyone's target yet, was it? Is that
correct?
You're throwing $200 million from
200,
ARP money?
200 something.
Right, 200 something from remaining ARP money, or?
Yeah, yes, that would be likely where it would come from.
Okay,
yes.
so you'll have less in the kitty from ARP money for next year.
But part of the reason we left money over is we didn't know what things we were yet going to be doing next year. We've talked about federal unemployment insurance. There's a big debt there. We don't know if the federal government's going to do something there. We don't know what the infrastructure package is going to be from the federal government. We might provide resources for that in the pot of money we have. So we don't know what's going to happen. We know right now when the federal government over 3 stimulus bills puts $18 billion into Minnesota, you're suddenly going to have the economy juiced, a lot of people spending money, and that's why our most recent numbers that came in showed a big increase in revenue, but that's not going to be there next year because the federal money is not going to be there next year. So I want to make sure we keep some back to make sure that we handle the future.
When is this grand reveal? And I think I caught you saying...
I don't know. You guys pulled some of it out of me, and so I got to apologize to the governor and the speaker, but hopefully we'll do it today. We talked about, whether we should do it together or not. We have all been working towards those things, which I think is important for Minnesota. All three of us feel like there's no way that we should allow a shutdown. It's too big a deal for Minnesota. But it's tough. I mean, you can see we're making progress now as the bills are moving forward. How we flow in the Senate, I think, is really, really good. But we just got to now just push it to the finish line. So I don't want to finish on the last day. I want to finish in whatever my prediction was of 10 days from whenever it was. Let's finish on whatever that day is.
It's Thursday.
This Thursday? Next Thursday?
This Thursday, like this 2 days from now.
I blew over it, sorry.
To get state gov wrapped up, did you guys get any commitment on absentee ballots? I heard something about drop boxes, restrictions on drop boxes.
I'm going to wait on that one because that bill's that would be the second one. Public safety, then state gov, and then HHS as far as where they're at in the process. But so we'll give you more details later. So,
You guys really trust the bolts that are holding that camera in place?
yeah, hope so.
But it sounds like we're into next week. I mean, you used the word in the next week in one of your chambers.
Lost track of all the time, but it depends on the speed of the House. I mean, that's a big part of how we're trying to navigate. So we'll see.
Well, what do you think of your House colleagues and their approach to this special session?
They're doing their part as the minority. They'd like to get additional things that that we didn't get in negotiating. The House is very different from the Senate, so we're just focused on being in the Senate.
Okay, but your minority is not doing anything similar to that.
No, the Senate's different than the House. So
have you?
Don't get me in trouble with the House now.
Have you had to sell them on the deals that you've reached? The House GOP, have you had to sell them on the deals you've reached? They think these are not good deals.
Yeah, we communicate with them on the deals, and if no matter which side of this at the end, and I've said this a number of times, there's going to be things that people can point to and say, I really like that, and then both sides are going to point to some things and say, why didn't you get that? And that's where we're at. I mean, we're the only divided legislature in the whole country. And for either side to assume they're going to get everything is just not reality. And then you have that facing up against a shutdown that really affects almost all of Minnesota now. And it just eventually have to give up on some of the things that either side cares about. All right. Well, thank you guys. Now remember,
I thought I shut it off.
Just remember, if the governor.
Sounds good. I won't go on. Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? Well, we're making progress, and that certainly feels good. We're passing some bills and getting the debates done, and hopefully being able to get this done for the people of Minnesota, because that's what we're here for. I know you've probably heard some about the education deal, which we are really relieved has been struck. I do think it's interesting that Senate Republicans are taking credit for the amount of funding on the base formula when their original plan was none. But obviously we've been fighting for a meaningful increase to the formula because we know that's what our schools need. We know that schools across the state have been sending out layoff notices, and without this, there's just no excuse to have cuts, especially when our kids in schools and families have been dealing with the effects of the pandemic on our education system.
Do you think the amount that is going into education will cause districts to tear up some of those layoff notices and keep those teachers on staff?
In some cases, I think it absolutely will. It's a matter of degree, because I think some districts are in worse shape than others in terms of the cuts they were having to make. But yes, I do think this will mean that some teachers will be able to keep their jobs.
What was the money? The governor and the DFL had asked for specific education dollar amounts for specific projects, primarily the equity money, things like that. Are those still funded as separate, or was that money put into the formula with a request that districts?
The outline of the agreement that I saw included specific categories, buckets, if you will, with specific funding subtotals, and then particular programs listed underneath those. And certainly a big one is increasing teachers of color and those equity provisions, which we know is so important in Minnesota. So yes, there is a very specific commitment beyond the formula. A lot of these have to do with recruiting and training and helping teachers become, be in the classrooms in front of our kids.
Can you talk about some of the things you didn't get that you wanted to see in there?
In the education bill? Well, I'll say a couple things that I am really pleased, in particular, the voluntary pre-K, we did not lose those seats. Those were going to be taken away, and families rely on those. Low-income families rely on those, and so that was very important that we managed to preserve that. Honestly, off the top of my head, because I saw an outline of the agreement, I'd have to go back to my notes and see specifically what's not in there. But we're pretty pleased with where this has come out in education, and certainly compared to what Senate Republicans originally passed off this floor a couple months ago. This is a just massive improvement.
What do you know about how widely accessible these pandemic bonuses are going to be for frontline workers?
I really don't know a lot of the details about that, and I actually think a lot of those details will still be worked out, but the fact that we are making this commitment, and I understand Senator Gazelka said more than he wanted to say, so I'm going to be careful because I don't even know as much as he does, of course, but the fact that we are really going to support our essential workers who we know were there for us over the course of the past year and several months is just a huge accomplishment that we're able to do that.
Senator, can you at least give us categories? I mean, healthcare workers, grocery workers.
My understanding, loosely, and again, I'm getting this very secondhand, is that a lot of those details are going to be assigned to be worked out. That some of this stuff is still not going to be completely, fully specified. That funds will be allocated and a process to allocate those funds. The details in between there, I'm really not clear on.
Is this going to be a windfall for people or small amounts of money?
I think by the time it all gets said and done, it's going to be reasonable help for people. I don't think anybody's going to be retiring off their funds, but it's just recognizing that people have incurred additional costs in so many different ways, and just helping support them as they're trying to, as so many people, particularly our frontline workers, are really trying to put their lives back together after a tough year.
It seems like Cedric Frazier's bill had 80 hours from one fund and 80 hours from another fund, so it could end up some combination there, I guess.
I'm not familiar with that level of detail.
What about the refinery safety stuff being stripped from the jobs bill?
That is so frustrating on so many levels, particularly when you consider that 75% of senators passed that bill on Friday. Over half of the Republican Party passed that bill on Friday. And, when you think about, they're trying to, and you heard this from the majority leader, they're trying to say they're allied with blue-collar workers and people in the building trades, and then they just fundamentally abandon protecting them and securing their safety and well-being. It's hard to say where the loyalties really lie. Again, Senator Bigham and I, right near that refinery, these are our communities. There's real safety risks here, and this was a massive disappointment. But we're not done yet. I know there's a lot of energy in the House to try to see if we can get this passed. The governor has been an enthusiastic supporter of this legislation from the beginning of session. And so we still have time. As you know, a few days in the end of a session, a lot of things can happen.
Can we assume from that you haven't gotten anything in exchange for them taking that out? Have they committed to doing one of your priorities, for example, of taking?
Yeah, I specifically asked last night in finance if they would commit to including this. Right now, they're just dead set against including this, and so that will be subject to conversations and, a lot of pressure. And that's what I think has really happened and made a difference in the past few days. They are realizing that this is a big issue to not only workers but to people in our communities, that we should have trained and skilled people handling these very high-risk chemicals in these very high-risk facilities.
So, as someone in the minority on this side, maybe you're not as on the hook for finishing on time, but can you give us then your appraisal as to where things are right now as far as pace and passage and things?
I saw your spreadsheet. Looks a little like mine, except I'm a geek and I do mine in Excel. I'm a nerd, I'm sorry. We have made a ton of progress. There's still a lot of just sort of processing of all of this. The Senate DFL has been committed to getting this work done. That's why today you see we are quickly passing the ag bill, because we already debated it in the Senate file version. We used our time wisely so that we can turn these around. Every single one of these bills that gets to the governor's desks and he signs is one less agency that might experience a shutdown. So we are all about getting this done. Some of these final agreements and details are still being worked out on some of these big bills, and these bills just take time to process. So, what I'm hearing from people is, yeah, maybe not Friday, but the weekend, and we know it's really important that we get this done, because we also know, for example, I know the speaker's been talking about transportation, and I'm glad we were able to go ahead and hear that bill today, so that when it does come over from the House, we can pass it quickly. But that's going to affect contractors, right? And we also know that cancellation notices are going out sometime in the near future to people who have reservations in state parks for campsites and events. So we owe that to Minnesotans to treat them better than that. And I am hopeful that we can really expedite as fast as we can. I think what we've seen out of the House Republicans, Kurt Doubt and I were equally not invited to meetings, and it's not my preferred way of doing things. Obviously, I feel like we should have a more transparent process, but that doesn't change the fact that the people of Minnesota are counting on us to sit here and do the work and do the business and not play games with it and not make it about me. Great. Thank you, guys.